A Harrow taxi driver today revealed how he desperately tried to save Eric Bristow's life after the darts legend collapsed. Ricky Nicol, 32, who trained in first aid and CPR when his children were born, was picking up a fare from the Pullman Hotel near the Liverpool Echo Arena when he saw a man collapse near the car park. The father of three immediately stopped his cab to help and was joined by an off-duty nurse, and together they tried to save the former darts player, who had collapsed after suffering a heart attack before paramedics arrived. He told the Liverpool Echo, "There was a man on the floor, not breathing and clearly in a bad way. His friend was panicking, and I knew someone needed to take control of the situation, so I stepped in." I told his friend to call the ambulance as I started CPR. I didn't even realize it was Eric Bristow until his friend told me. It's a moment that will stay with me for the rest of my life. I did the best I could, but it wasn't enough. I'm devastated. Phil Taylor said today that he felt the world has lost a legend following the death of Bristow at the age of 60, who had been attending a corporate event in Liverpool ahead of the Premier League fixture at the Echo Arena. The Professional Darts Corporation announced his death midway through the night's play, with fans breaking into a spontaneous rendition of "There's Only One Eric Bristow." Rod Studd stopped commentating out of respect. Five-time world champion Bristow acted as mentor for Taylor, who beat the crafty Cockney to win his first world crown in 1990, before going on to become the greatest player in the game. The Power took to Twitter this morning to pay his own tribute to the man who was the biggest name in darts throughout the 1980s and marked the beginning of the sports television boom. "Words cannot express how sad and shocked I am to hear the terrible news about Eric's passing. A huge influence on my career and a larger-than-life character. The world has lost a legend." Rip Pal number 16, wrote the 57-year-old Taylor. Taylor retired following his defeat in the 2018 PDC World Championship final, when Rob Cross beat him 7-2 at Alexandra Palace in North London on New Year's Day to lift the title for the first time. The new world champion, 27, reflected on the impact Bristow had on the generation looking to succeed him. "The sport of darts owes him everything. He made it the huge success it is today," Cross wrote on Twitter. "He was the first superstar of darts, an amazing player, but also a massive character. One of my biggest inspirations. He'll be sorely missed." Keith Deller beat Bristow in the 1983 BDO World Championship final in what was one of the tournament's biggest shocks. He also later worked with Bristow closely at Sky Sports and said, "I am devastated. Me and Eric were together all the time." Two-time world champion Michael Van Gerwen tweeted, "Just heard the latest horrible news that Eric Bristow has passed away. My thoughts are with his family at this sad time. True legend in the game. Number repairing number legend fellow Dutchman Raymond van Barneveld wrote on Twitter, "He was darts, he meant so much to me, cannot believe it, my thoughts go out to his wife and family." One of darts' first superstar players, Bristow won his 5 titles in the British darts organisation, dominating the sport between 1980 and 1986. His first title, a 5-3 defeat of Bobby George, marked the start of his dynasty. Bristow was part of the Breakaway Group, which formed the Breakaway World Darts Council in 1993, which eventually went on to become the phenomenon which is the lucrative PDC circuit of today. The influence of the Englishman stretched across all forms of the game. Andy Fordham, BDO World Champion in 2004, tweeted, "Can't believe my hero has gone, my thoughts are with his family are." Eric also finished 4th in I'm a Celebrity. Get me out of here in 2012 and moved into broadcasting with Sky Sports, combining commentary duties with working as a spotter, plotting the checkouts for the players that viewers see on their screens. Bristow's time with the broadcaster ended in 2016 after a series of tweets relating to the Barry Bennell abuse scandal. He later apologized for his remarks. Barry Hearn, chairman of the Professional Darts Corporation, said, "Eric will always be a legend in the world of darts and British sport." He was a tremendous player and a huge character, and even after his retirement fans would travel for miles to meet him and see him play. Eric was never afraid of controversy, but he spoke as he found and was honest and straightforward, which is what people admired about him. The PDC said Bristow was arguably the sport's first superstar player. Eric Bristow, the crafty cockney who won the heart of darts fans everywhere. Eric Bristow was just 11 when his father bought him a dartboard and, with it, a ticket to a life he could only have dreamed of. Bristow, who died on Thursday after a heart attack, went on to become a 5-time world champion, a household name beyond the ocean, and an unlikely reality television star in his later years, but might easily have pursued a different path. Born on April 25, 1957 to plasterer George and telephonist Pamela, he grew up in Stoke Newington and found himself attracted to the area's more roguish elements. In retirement, he cheerfully admitted to some low-level gang crime in his youth. Car theft and burglaries, was given the cane on his 3rd day at Hackney Grammar School and admitted carrying a claw hammer in his trousers in case of trouble. That such exploits became a hazy memory rather than a way of life owed much to his mastery of the arrows. George Bristow, who believed there was a sport for everyone, exposed his son to golf, snooker and pool before he struck gold with darts. By 14, Eric was an active member of a local team, and by 15 he was making more from tournament prize money than he was from his first paying job as proofreader for an advertising agency. Bristow's technique, pinky finger outstretched in the manner of a refined tea party, initially marked him out for mockery, though it never lasted long as he outflanked all comers. At 30 he had done it all, a quintet of world crowns between 1980 and 1986, countless other trophies and trinkets, an MBE on the way, and a heavy dose of mainstream popularity, fed by his regular triumphant appearances on the small screen. Throughout his rivalries with Jockey Wilson and John Lowe, he lived up and played up to his nickname, the Crafty Cockney, a sobriquet he lifted from a bar he frequented in Santa Monica. Having spent most of his 20s as the world's #1 player, the only way was down, and a long battle with dartitis and inability to release the arrow, and a near cousin of golf's yips ensured it would not be an easy ride. He found relief in his personal life, marrying wife Jane in 1989 and becoming father to Louise and James over the next 4 years. His family later grew to include a half-brother, Kevin, whose existence had been a well-kept secret until he was 45. Despite being a founder member of the breakaway PDC, World Darts Council, in 1993, he was no longer an elite performer. A semi-final run in the 1997 PDC World Championship, a stirring but isolated return to form. He was beaten on the day by Phil the Power Taylor, whom he had first met as a gifted young player in his adopted home of Stoke. Taylor benefited from the older man's financial support, name recognition and mentorship in his early years, long before becoming the star he is today. In nurturing the most decorated champion in the sports, even losing to him, and as he landed his first world crown in 1990, Bristow's already distinguished CV gains added legacy. Bristow transitioned comfortably into life away from competitive darts, working for Sky Television as both commentator and spotter, working the exhibition and autobiography circuit before being cast in ratings hit I'm a Celebrity. Get Me Out of Here. The Australian outback was a change from his usual holiday haunts of Tenerife and Las Vegas, but he charmed viewers sufficiently to finish fourth in the show, striking up an unlikely bond with mate in Chelsea's Hugo Taylor along the way. The luster of his public persona was dulled somewhat in 2016 by an ill-advised tweet relating the sex abuse scandal in football, an episode for which he apologized but still cost him his Sky job.